Oh boy, it's that time of the year. About a month ago, Glitch announced the release date for the final 2 Murder Drones episodes, spring 2024 just so you know, with a nice little trailer to go along with it. Sure, it's nice to finally know how long we have to wait and everything, but what's even nicer is that between this trailer and some of the other Glitch posts in the past couple months, I think we have just enough information to predict exactly how the series finale is going to go down. You know the drill by now. Time for me to do what I do best and see if I can't solve the end of this series before it even begins. So anyways, what's up my guys and gals, it's your boy Tyromaniac, back with another Smokin' Hot video, and today I'm talking about the end of Murder Drones. I hope for your sake that you know what Murder Drones is, because I am not recapping an entire 6-episode series. Why not use the link in the description to go watch one of the best indie animation projects ever made? Alright, now that everyone's all caught up, let's get into it. Right, so before we dive headfirst into the schizophrenic ramblings I call theories, I'm gonna go over all the evidence that Glitch has given us and see what we're able to scrape together. If you don't care and just want to get straight to the prediction, then the timestamp should be on screen right about now. For the rest of you, we're starting with the official trailer for episodes 7 and 8, the beginning of the end. Despite being a minute 31 seconds long, the only thing worth mentioning from the first minute is this one voice line we get from Sin, where she says,
"Thanks for giving me the planet, friggin' idiot."
Now with that out of the way, we can get into the actually important stuff, all 30 seconds of it. Anyways, the first clip shows us Uzi and En hugging it out in a mansion hall straight from Resident Evil, with En's disembodied voice saying,
"All I know is I need you."
And then immediately gets dragged through a giant flesh pit by a bunch of absolute silver hands, but that's not important. So, thinking back to Tessa's monologue from episode 6, you might remember that she just casually gave En the most soul-searching, character-defining dilemma possible, that being whether or not he'd be willing to kill Uzi if it meant saving the universe from the absolute silver. It's set up as the big internal struggle that En's going to be grappling with in the finale, and judging by what we see in the trailer, I think we already know what his choice is. The second clip shows us a giant, ominous-ass mansion with sentinels chained at the front gate like guard dogs. Now look, I know I already made the Resident Evil joke, but fucking look at it! Anyways, bit more to unpack with this one, so let's start with the stalactites. And yes, I did have to Google that. Them being there means that this mansion is probably underground, and the only good reason for that is if it's part of the Cabin Fever labs. If you want more proof, then the sign on the roof that says "Lab Space for Rent" should do it. Next thing to look at is the graffiti plastered all over the front gate. The only words I can really make out are null, end, and what I'm guessing is the second half of exponential. If you remember the way Sin described the absolute solver, i.e. herself, in episode 5, then all that probably sounded pretty familiar, leading me to think that this mansion was where the humans kept the drones they infected with the absolute solver. If that's true, then it might even be where they were keeping Nori and Yeva, judging by the final transmission recording from episode 6. The third and fourth clips show Tessa's hand slamming a locker door shut, a locker door that I have a sneaking suspicion belonged to Nori, immediately followed by the Copper 9 core collapse that started the entire series. So, I like to think of these two clips like alcohol and car keys, nothing all that special on their own, but when you put the two together, that's when the magic happens. The point is, I think these two clips are telling us that Tessa's gonna do a little investigating around the mansion on her own as she tries to piece together what happened on Copper 9. What she's gonna find is a theory that I've been running from for a long time. A realization that would change the entire reality of the series, but more on that later. The fifth clip shows us En and Uzi in the same hall they were in earlier, and oh hey, would you look at that, the light on Uzi's hand is yellow, and usually the only time that happens is when... I don't think there's actually too much to read into with this one. I think it's more just hinting at the fact that we're going to see more of Sin creeping into Uzi's mind. The sixth clip shows us En taking Uzi's hand while his disembodied voice cuts back in to say,
"To figure things out together."
Uzi then crushes En's hand. Seems a bit rude to me, but whatever. Again, the fifth and sixth clips works well enough on their own, but putting them together, that's where the theories are made. You see, when En grabs Uzi's hand, you can see that she's keeping her head down and staggering a little on the way up. This could mean one of two things. Either she's been emotionally devastated by something, or that she's being controlled by Sin. Judging by the fact that Uzi's hand light is still purple in this clip, implying that she is still the one in control, I'm gonna guess that it's option 1. So basically, I think that Uzi learned something so emotionally devastating that it led her to hurt the one person she cares about most. As for what she could have learned that would make her break down like that, my guess is that it would have to specifically be something that End did if Uzi's gonna go out of her way to hurt him. Anyways, that just about covers the official trailer, but there's still 2 more things to go over. The 2 community posts Glitch made teasing the finale. The second one is probably the easiest, since it's just End back on the surface of Copper 9. If you notice though, our boy ain't exactly looking okay. You see that posture right there? Nobody who's slouching like that is having a good day. If I had to guess, I'd say that this shot is from the very end of the series, and that something pretty bad is going to go down during the finale that's going to have End looking like that. That's a question for later though. The question for now is the first community post Glitch made, showing 2 shadowy figures standing in a less shadowy doorway. From a quick glance, people might assume that this would be Nori and Yeva, and I'd have to agree. The purple and red eyes are probably the biggest giveaway, but there's more to it than just that. For the drone on the right, the hairstyle lines up perfectly with Nori's, even down to that little strand running off to her left. For both of them, the way they're standing is a pretty clear indication too. Yeva's standing stoically, like a normal person, while Nori's going gremlin mode perfectly lines up with what we'd expect from Doll and Uzi, and the saying, "the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree," exists for a reason. Either way, despite what this community post makes it look like, I doubt that Nori and Yeva are going to make an actual appearance in the episode. After all, Yeva's corpse is currently chilling in Doll's room, and has been there for a while, and we have Khan's personal statement that he himself put Nori out of her misery after the murder drones got to her. Khan might be a lot of things, like a bad father, a coward, a door fetishist, but I don't think he's a liar. I think what we're seeing here is going to end up being a flashback, not an actual part of the episode. Well, then what would trigger a flashback like that, I hear you asking? And ask no more, figment of my imagination. Let's get into it. Right, so here's how I think the Murder Drone's finale is going to go down. It's safe to assume that we're going to pick up where we left off in episode 6, with En, Uzi, and Tessa reaching the bottom of the elevator. It's also safe to assume that we'll get a few emotional scenes about the 3 of them coming to terms with V's death. At least we will, until they find the mansion. Once they get inside, the 3 of them are probably gonna split up, with Tessa going off on her own to continue her investigation into what happened on Copper 9, while En stays back with Uzi to help her deal with all the absolute solver business. Speaking of which, while En is playing therapist/boyfriend for Uzi, I'd imagine that he'd be going over the dilemma Tessa left him with back at the labs. Would he be able to kill Uzi to save the universe, or does she mean so much to him that he'd stand back and let her destroy everything? While En's dealing with all that, Tessa would be off on her own exploring the mansion, coming across more and more clues about Nori and her involvement in everything. She'll keep piecing them together as she goes, until eventually she finds the one piece is real. The one piece of evidence that leads her to the ultimate conclusion, that Nori caused the core collapse. Hear me out now. We know that Nori went through something pretty similar to what Uzi's going through now thanks to Alice running her mouth in episode 6, talking about Nori killing people and having yellow eyes. That all makes it sound like Sin took control of Nori at some point too, leading Nori to try and destroy Copper 9 the same way Sin destroyed Earth and the other planets. What I think, and what I think Tessa's gonna realize, is that Sin's plan is to use Uzi to finish the job that Nori started. After figuring this out, Tessa would run back to the others to try and stop that from happening, calling in Jay for backup, and also giving her some much needed screen time. Knowing Tessa, I'd imagine her just barging into the hall while En and Uzi are in the middle of having a moment and just spitting everything out. An argument would probably break out, with En vouching for Uzi's life and Tessa wanting her dead before Sin can step in again. I'm not sure about the specifics, but I'd be willing to bet that during this argument, one crucial piece of information is gonna slip out. You see, if Uzi isn't under Sin's control when she crushes En's hand like I said earlier, then why would she? Why would she hurt the one person she cares about most? Well, what if she found out that he was hiding something from her? What if she found out that the one person who's been by her side this entire journey was responsible for one of the most traumatic events of her life? What I'm saying is, what if En killed Nori? I mean, come on, would we really put it past Liam Vickers of all people to write a plot twist like that, especially considering he basically wrote the same plot twist and design? I know I wouldn't. Either way, after finding out that the one person she trusts most was the one who killed her mother, the mental breakdown waiting for Uzi would make episode 4 look like a minor inconvenience. And in that critical moment of weakness, Sin sees an opportunity. Just like we saw in episode 6, Sin takes advantage of Uzi's desperation and takes full control of her body. Only this time, she's not giving it back. This time, Sin's out to finish the job she started with Nori, that being the complete destruction of Copper 9. So begins the final fight of the series, with N, Jay, Tessa, and maybe Doll too, haven't really heard from her in this video, all fighting to stop the Absolute Silver once and for all. Now here's the thing. Looking at the community post I talked about earlier, I feel pretty confident saying that the good guys are going to win and kick the Absolute Silver's ass back to the Lovecraft novel it crawled out of. After all, if Sin won and destroyed Copper 9, then there wouldn't really be a surface for N to go back to for this shot to happen. That said, the fact that N's doing the signature "I'm the protagonist and I just lost something important to me" pose makes me think that something pretty bad is going to happen anyways. The only question is, if N's still alive and the planet's still intact, then what would that be? Well, if you remember the last time Uzi went on an Absolute Silver fueled killing spree, the only thing that stopped her from wiping out the rest of her classmates was N talking her down. The problem is that N isn't going to be able to do that again, since this time he's the reason she went crazy in the first place. What that means is that the only way to stop Uzi now is to stop her permanently. The only way for N to save himself, his friends, and the fate of the universe is to kill the one person he cares about most. That's right, folks. Murder drones. The story about cute robots killing each other in a post-apocalyptic universe is gonna end with N finishing the fight he started way back in the pilot. Yes it was. Either way, yeah, that's my prediction for how the Murder Drones finale is gonna play out. Uzi's gonna cave into Sin's influence, and N's gonna have to be the one to put an end to the Absolute Silver by killing her. Can't wait for episode 7 to come out and immediately prove me wrong in the most humiliating way possible. Either way, you know the drill. If you have different predictions or just want to yell at me for mine, then take out your anger in the comments section. So anyways, that's it for this video, so remember to light up that like button, smoke that subscribe button, drop a big old comment, check out some of the videos on the left, and I will see you guys in the next video.